Look at verse 5. It says, by faith, Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found because God had translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony that he pleased God. We know the story of Enoch. If you go back to Genesis and read about Enoch, we found out that Enoch lived several years before the flood. I think he was the great-grandfather of Noah. Now, I may be a little wrong on that genealogy, but Noah was in his line. And Enoch was raptured before the flood. God didn't allow him to die. He didn't see death. God just took him out. Enoch is a type, I believe, of the church, because God's going to take the church out before the flood comes, okay? Before his wrath comes. But it says here that Enoch should not see death, and was not because God had translated him, for before his translation he had this testimony that he pleased God. If you turn back to that story in Genesis, you find out that it says Enoch walked with God. He walked with God. See, our faith believes in Bible creation, our faith believes in the blood atonement, and our faith believes in a relationship. Our faith gives us a relationship with God, that we walk with him, that we talk with him, that we spend time with him. Just like we have a relationship with our family members, our loved ones, our wives, our husbands, our children. Our relationship with God is not just a give me. It's not hiding under the couch when we do something wrong. But it's a relationship. He walked with God. Just like Adam and Eve walked with God in the cool of the evening before the fall, Enoch walked with God. His faith, the substance of his faith, the evidence of his faith is God called him a friend. And God did not allow him to remain on this earth to see the judgment that was coming. He goes on further and talks about this. He says, but without faith, in verse 6, it is what? Impossible. You might believe in God. You might believe there's a God. That's good. Remember last week we read James said, you believe in God? Well, devils believe in God. But having faith, putting your trust in him, believing that it's his blood that cleanses us, believing his promises that he's coming back for a bride without spot or wrinkle, a glorious church. Do you have faith in what he said? You just believe he's just out there just running things? Do you believe he cares about you personally? Everybody in this room, God knows your name. He knew you before you were born. And just like our brother shared the other night, he has another name for you. He has another name for you. He hasn't told me what his name for you is. He hasn't even told me what his name for me is. That relationship, without faith, if you don't have that kind of faith, you're not going to please God. I don't care how many people you feed. I don't care how many churches you build. I don't care how many missionary trips you go on. I don't care what you do. If you don't have faith to believe, you will not please him. That's a prerequisite. Yes, God blesses us when we do things, when we have faith in God, and we go forth in whatever God has called us, whether it be in a ministry or whatever it might be. Yeah, you can please God like that, but it got to begin with faith. If you don't have faith, you're just a hired hand. He says, without faith, in verse 6, it's impossible to please God. Now listen, here it is. Listen. For he that comes to God must believe. Must. He that comes to God, you might believe. You should believe. No. You must believe what? That he is. That means that God exists. And that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. We need to believe that if we have a relationship with God, God is going to bless us. And if we diligently pursue our relationship with God. I've used this example so many times. If you're married and you don't diligently pursue your relationship with your wife, it's not going to be a very happy marriage. A lot of men, they get married and they figure that's the end. When women gets married, she figures that's the beginning. They don't get together. I'm not teaching about marriage. I just figured I'd throw that one in. You can. I won't charge you any extra for that. All right. Okay. That he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Okay? Now, that's what our faith should look like. I want to ask you something. Are you diligently seeking God? Are you diligently seeking what his will is for your life? Are you diligently seeking him to help you in those areas of your life that you struggle with? The other day we went up to Teen Challenge. We go up there the fourth Saturday of every month. And I told them guys up there, you know what? People argue and they get all stressed out and they get all bent out of shape. They'll talk about, well, can you lose your salvation? I'll lose your salvation. Give your salvation up. Listen, it doesn't matter. If you're diligently seeking God, there's not a devil in heaven or hell that can take you out of God's hand. Diligently seek him. You don't have to worry about losing nothing.